Alright, greeting Wargamers, welcome back to another Let's Play video. We are now starting Operation Barbarossa, the single largest operation in military history, and we are get to play it out here in Eurofront, and I am very curious, I think is the word I'm going to use, for this operation, because this game has a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the dice. There's a large, call it standard deviation, like statistical noise with the die rolls. And I'm trying to think about or figure out how is this operation going to play out. And frankly, I have no idea. I have objectives in mind, I have goals to reach, but we're going to see what the dice ultimately decide as far as the success or failure of Operation Barbarossa. But having said that, we have stacked up like favorable odds. And so I've talked about it before, but we have a lot of German armored units stacked up. We have more armored units stacked up than historically, I'm pretty sure. And then on top of that, the Soviets, because of that delay in the Red Army reforms, which actually we should have a marker for that already on the map. Let's see here. Soviet Red Army reforms. Where is that marker? I'm going to look for it real quick. Soviet armored buildup. Here we go. S2. Basically, because of that, I think they didn't get it until like February of 1941, or even March. It took them a while to get that reform. Basically, they weren't able to build up their strategic reserve. And so, historically, the Red Army basically had the equivalent of another front. The Soviets called their army groups fronts. They had another front deep in the Soviet Union, which basically took the German high command off guard, especially at the Battle of Smolensk. That's kind of what happens historically, but in our game, we don't have that large strategic reserve. It will eventually be deployed, but it's going to take about a month for it to deploy. So we're going to see how that's going to affect the initial stages of Operation Barbarossa. That's what we're going to focus on this video. We're not going to do the whole operation because it's a very long operation. It's like a 5-6 month long operation. So it's one of the largest and longest operations of World War II. And so we're going to simply see how the German army performs in the next 3 months. And so the question I have right now for our ChatGPT is how many Panzer divisions, how many were in Operation Barbarossa? Let's find out. And presumably, one step per unit here, one step per corps is the equivalent of a division. So we're going to compare how many Panzer divisions we had in total, including motorized infantry divisions as well. We're gonna count those as Panzer divisions or mechanized divisions. But yeah, in total we have 17 Panzer divisions supported by 13 motorized infantry divisions across 3 army groups. Now I can pull up the setup sheet and look at the East Front summer 1941 scenario setup, which is another scenario in the game. And what we're going to count is how many steps do we have for the motorized and mechanized corps, and presumably it's going to add up to 30. So let's see, we got 7 from Army Group North. How many were in each respective army group? Can you provide those details? And I just want to compare basically the developer's historical setup, the developer's historical interpretation of historical events with the actual operation itself. And I want to kind of see exactly, it's going to give me insight to see how aligned or how historically accurate our game is, and our model of the game, our understanding of the game, from like a, military historical perspective, and kind of get a sense of, the attention to detail that this game has, as well as our understanding of the game, and compare that to the actual historical events. That's the idea, and that's kind of what we've been doing. Whether it was the the Winter War, whether it was the Battle of France, focusing on counting these casualties. Excuse me, focusing on counting these casualties and getting a sense of the manpower, figures and kind of military historical data points and things like this. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's the part of wargaming that probably has the greatest potential for exploration. And I think that's essentially what war games are trying to simulate, but they do so more at an intuitive level rather than a quantitative level. And I guess what I'm trying to do is sort of explore the quantitative side of it. And so let's see here. Our response only gives us information on panzer divisions, but I want to see, please show panzer and motorized infantry divisions, both per army group. This is the actual data that I'm looking for. And so let's see here. So Army Group North apparently has 3 panzer divisions and 3 motorized infantry divisions. And if we look at the setup for our Army Group North, we actually have 7 steps. So it actually aligns up pretty well for Army Group North. So presumably each step is either a panzer division or a motorized infantry division, part of 2 panzer corps. Army Group Center has 9 panzer divisions and 6 motorized infantry divisions, so that would be 15 steps. Let's see, count how many steps that we actually have. We've got we have more, a lot more. 4, 8, 12, 16, plus 19 I count. Is that right? Yeah, I count 19 steps. So 16 historically, 19 in the game. And then let's see Army Group South. Presumably that's 14 steps there. Let's see what we have for Army Group South. 5 panzer divisions and 4 motorized infantry divisions for a total of 11 steps. So presumably in the game, there are more motorized steps than the historical setup. In total, if we count the total amount of steps we have here, we have 7 plus 19 is 26, plus another, 14? 6 plus 8 is 14. So if I did my math right, 19, 26, 26 plus 14, that adds up to 40 steps. And what we have here is a total of 30 steps. So 10 extra steps. And I wonder, is that right? We had 1 more for Army Group North, 3 more from Army Group. Yeah, I feel like I didn't add that up correctly. Let's see. I'm going to count again. And thank you for your patience, by the way, as far as like trying to calculate numbers and whatnot. So we have 6 from Army Group North. We have 15 from Army Group Center, so that's 21. And then we have another 9 from Army Group South. Yeah, that does add up to 30. So ChatGPT did it correctly. But in our game, so that's, I think it was 6, 15, 21. I guess I'll pull out some notes. I'm trying to do all this in my head. Army Group North, Army Group Center, Army Group South. We have 6, 15, and 9, right? I think I miscounted. Yeah, I think I said 11 at one point. I meant to say 9. Okay, and then in the game, what we have in the game is 7, 19, and 14. And if we take the difference between all those values, just do some basic, algebra? Basic arithmetic. 19 minus 15 is 4. And then, and then 7 minus 6 equals to 1. So yeah, in our game, the Axis presumably have 10 more divisions than what they had historically. And so what does that mean? It means either the game has a different type of model, or it means that that a step doesn't actually represent a full division. It represents, I think it'd be 3/4 of a division, right? So this is where, there's a bit of kind of like nuance in the game. I don't think any war game is a perfect model of World War II, because they're not meant to be like full on simulators. They're meant to be like fun, playable games. But I do think there's an inherent value to having a historically accurate game. And in my opinion, this game, the mechanics are really impressive. So even if the developers are off by a factor of 25% as far as how many motorized and panzer divisions are in operation, like Operation Barbarossa, I still think that they did a great job of designing the game. And so, with that said, let's see how many motorized, mechanized panzer divisions we have for our operation, given that I really focus on building up as many as possible. I count 10 for Army Group North, plus another, let's see, 20 for Army Group Center. So we're already at 30, plus another 3 here. What is that? 33 plus another 12 puts us at 45, plus another 4. Oh my gosh, I think I miscounted. I'm going to have to do it again, folks. Thank you for your patience here. So we got 10 plus 20, that's 30, yeah. 33, yeah, 33 plus 12 is 45. And then we have we have 8 more. Man, God, so I count 53 divisions in total, which compared to the historical game is 13 more divisions, which is interesting. So, if we do the math, basically 53 times, I think 0.75 would be the ratio, and presumably we have about 40 divisions. According to the historical setup, 40 motorized and mechanized panzer divisions for Operation Barbarossa compared to the historical 30. So that's a 30% boost, and that's a significant boost, given that the German army didn't have that many tanks to begin with. I mean, Operation Barbarossa was a large concentration of armor. They had about like 3 to 4,000 tanks, but compared to the amount of armor that the Soviets had, I mean, it's just a huge difference. Now, to be fair, most of the Soviet armor was like T-26, BT-5 tanks, which are basically light tanks, and I can go ahead and show the pictures. But like the backbone tank for the Soviets was the T-26, which is a small light tank, and the Panzer III could go toe-to-toe with this tank no problem. The Panzer III was the main tank for the German army in summer 1941. This was the main tank for the German army. It was a great tank. And then they also had the BT-5, which I think is an even better performing tank. It's an excellent light tank, but still a light tank. And we can do a little bit of research. I think it's interesting. How many T-26 tanks were? Well, actually, I'll do like, please list how many of each tank was in Operation Barbarossa. T-26, BT-5, T-34, and KV-1. And the T-34 and KV-1 were both considered heavy tanks. I think the T-34 is technically, like in the long-term process of the war, was technically a medium tank, but I think for 1941 it was considered a heavy tank. And so he says, here are the best established estimates. These figures vary quite a bit, but the T-26 was 9,000 to 10,000 tanks. That's a lot. BT-5 was only about 1,600 to 1,900. Wow, I thought there was more. I thought it was like 5,000 or so. And then T-34 is about 1,000 tanks, which is a lot. And then the KV-1, about half a thousand, 500 to 600 tanks, right? Total Soviet strength was around 22,000 to 24,000 tanks. But only about 12,000 to 14,000 were in Western military districts. And so because we're playing a game that like keeps track of, units at the corps level, or in the case of the Soviets at their army level, the Soviet army level, we're not going to really try to keep track of how many tanks or how many aircraft we have. I think the values are a bit too complicated, but we can track how much manpower has been assembled for the operation. And so with that aside, I think we can start the operation. I just find it really interesting to keep track of these numbers. I've done this a bunch of times, trying to figure out what, how to simulate Operation Barbarossa. Basically, it's the most fascinating. I think it's the single most fascinating operation of World War II. Frankly, every operation in World War II is deeply fascinating, but Operation Barbarossa really, to me, stands out as one of the most impressive. But it's an odd operation because both sides had massive logistical problems. Casualties were extremely high on both sides. Even the Soviets were obviously much higher than the Germans, but still the German losses were substantial. And that's what we're going to do in this game. We're going to keep track of the losses on both sides. Presumably, one German step is about 22,000 troops, and one Soviet step is about 25,000 troops. And so we'll get a feel of the casualties on both sides. But I think with that, we'll go ahead and start the log file and actually jump into the gameplay. So let's see how it goes. So the first thing I'm going to do, there's a lot of ways to organize your forces for Operation Barbarossa. But I'm going to go ahead and activate Army Group Center, and we're going to blitz with Army Group Center. Another thing to point out too is that the Soviet setup is slightly different. Not only do they not have much of a strategic reserve at the present moment available, but we also increased more Soviet mechanized corps at the front. So it's kind of a different setup. I mean, the typical historical setup basically has one Russian unit per area, more or less. Now we have about an average of two for a lot of these areas. So the Soviet defense is a lot more dense than the historical setup. So already Operation Barbarossa has quite a different setup overall. I'm going to go ahead and activate this Army Group A, and we're going to make it a Blitz HQ. And let's go ahead and start. I'm also going to go ahead and activate OKW and do 6 strategic supreme moves, basically, with OKW. And what we're going to do is actually have OKW move all our Axis units located in Romania. So we'll go ahead and do that. I think we'll move this Romanian unit forward, this one forward. We do have the advantage of surprise right now. So actually what I probably should do, the Germans have officially declared war on the Soviets. So what I'll do is switch over to the Soviet side real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and deploy the Soviet reserve armies, which all units arrive immediately upon belligerence. So that's what we're going to do. Just set up these units real quick for the Soviets. And this is part of like the Soviet, they're called reserve armies that are kind of sprinkled all over the Soviet Union. Because the Soviet manpower is so vast, right, that it covers, even though it's a large pool of manpower, it covers a lot of territory as well. I'm actually going to put this unit here. You can put it units in or adjacent to listed cities. So this unit is going to go in Soroka, adjacent to Murmansk. This unit goes in Rostov. So yeah, playing as the Soviet side, I mean, it's a very different play style because of how vast your army is. And this game, I mean, the Soviet army is vast, but the developers definitely did a lot to simplify the Red Army. So there's not as many units as you would expect. And also keep in mind that each unit here represents a Soviet army, not a Soviet corps, because the Soviets, the way they scale their units was slightly different than the way the rest of the European or like American forces organize their units. But having said that, the Soviets still had divisions. They still had corps. They still had divisions. Did I say that? I said divisions twice. So the Soviets have a lot of units historically to command. So that their high command, the high command structure was arguably more complex as a result, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So now the Soviet reserve armies are deployed because war has been declared. We're going to go ahead and start moving units. I'm actually not going to move this Romanian unit, even though I could, just because it's going to be out of supplies. If I move it up, I mean, the supply base is Bucharest, and Constanta, I can't trace it over this kind of sea area or the sea hex side. So supplies is always a length of 2 areas, or 2 hexes rather. And so if I attack forward, it's going to put this unit out of supplies, and I think I don't want that. So we'll go ahead and move up this unit. That's 1 strategic move, 2 strategic moves, 3 strategic moves, and yeah, I don't think I want to do anything else. You know, I may go for it, but the problem is that it's going to be out of supplies for quite a while, and I don't know how soon. I don't know how long it's going to take before we, you know, move up any additional units. I'm thinking of doing maybe 4 strategic moves like so, and then what I'll go ahead and do is move 1 unit over here. We can move this mountain unit, and I'll move it by strategic rail, 2 strategic rail moves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. 8. Hold on, I gotta recount that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, just like that. And that way we still have a unit. It's kind of a gamble, because if the Soviets try to, like, they're not going to be able to blitz because of the surprise advantage. But you know, the Soviets could you know, try to like attack Ploisty, and if we lose Ploisty, we're kind of in deep doo doo as the Axis. But I kind of like this move of just putting as much pressure across this river area and try to contest as many areas as we can. So those are the 6 strategic moves for OKH. Next, I'm going to blitz with Army Group A, which is part of Army Group South. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to move 1 infantry unit there, 1 infantry unit there. I'll put a Panzer Corps there. I'm going to put another Panzer Corps over here. I can only put 2 units because of the hex height limits. I have 2 more Panzer Corps in reserve. I think I'm going to go ahead and attack this area. I can move across the riverside without any river repulses because we have the advantage of surprise. So we'll move those 2 units forward. And then, let's see, I have 2 more infantry units left. I'm going to keep those 2 as a reserve. I'm also going to keep these 2 Panzer Corps as a reserve. And actually, I'm thinking moving maybe 1 mech unit forward here. Yeah, I feel like I actually need more units. So, you know, I'm actually going to cancel. I mean, I already moved that unit forward. So yeah, this is already, I'm already dealing with like logistical problems. Oh, I have another mech unit. Yeah, maybe I'll move this mech unit forward like this, right there. So I think, yeah, well, I guess we'll attack with 2 mech units there. Kind of a gamble, but I want to make sure I have, no, you know what I'll do? I'll attack with 1 infantry unit. And then this mech unit that was going to attack, I'm actually going to keep it there as a reserve. Yeah, all right, so that's that. Now we'll do Army Group Center moves. These units are in range. I'm going to attack this area with 2 infantry. I think I'm going to attack this area with 2 infantry as well. And then now, this is the hardest part, I think, of the initial phase, is this attacking the central area. I'm going to attack with 2 infantry forward here. And then I'm going to attack with 2 armored units, 2 and 2, like so. Here I'm going to attack with 1 infantry and 1 armored unit. I think over here I'm going to attack with 1 infantry. And then over here, I think we'll attack with, I'm thinking 2 infantry units and 1 armored unit. Like so. We can only put 3 units there. And that leaves me with 2 armored units in reserve. I'm actually thinking, you know what? We're going to attack, we're going to cancel this infantry move. I'm going to actually attack with 2 Panzer Corps right there. And then I have two Panzer Corps in reserve, which is really nice. We'll attack with 2 infantry units forward here. And we still have a lot of reserve units, right? I've got 4 infantry reserve units, plus a mech unit, and then 2 Panzer Corps. Yeah, so really all we have to do is just move our units up a bit. We'll move like, I guess we'll move 1 armored unit there, I guess. And I think we'll actually move this infantry unit there, and then I'll move 1 infantry unit over here. Kind of shift around. Army Group Center and Army Group North are kind of mixed right now. And I think that's the overall setup I want to do. Yeah, not bad. Oh, and actually I realized that we have too many units stacked up here. So what I'll do is I'll put this mech unit, I'll move it back, put it right there. Okay. Oh, and then this HQ will move here. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, so that's it for the German strategic moves. I could put more units here at Bialystok, but I don't mind just like encircling it. I don't mind. I could try to break through it and try to destroy it, but I'd rather encircle it. Now we're going to put our airstrike markers. I'm going to put an airstrike marker right here. I'm going to put an airstrike marker right here. One of these airstrike markers is coming from OKW right now. And then this one army group, I'll put an airstrike marker right here to go for Lvov, like so. All right, and that's going to be it for the German turn. Now we can start the battle. Start the battle phase, and let's see how it goes. And we're going to keep track of those casualties. So we'll start from top to bottom. The Soviets score a hit already. So let's see here. I think I can delete all this. We don't need this. That was interesting to know. Maybe I'll keep it. I'll go ahead and keep it. But let's see. Soviet casualties and German casualties, or maybe call it Axis casualties. But they're predominantly German. The Germans already suffered 1. And this is what I mean, like if we could just have a way to keep track of all the casualties, you know, it'd be just a fascinating data set. And I think the only way to do that is to create a programmable version of the game. I'm pretty sure that's the way to do it. So anyways, the Soviets scored 1 hit, the Germans scored no hits, so we'll lose a corps there. Yep. Now we'll do this battle here. We're not breaking through. Soviets have 3 and 3, 3 double fire and 3 single fire. No hits from the Soviets. Germans are going to roll, scoring 2 hits. Oof, they scored 2 hits, 3, 4. They scored 5 hits. Without even that much Panzer Corps, the Soviets are basically at their breaking point. So the Soviets just lost 5 steps, including a cadre, which counts as double. So the Soviets lose basically 6 steps altogether. They 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 steps. Now we'll do the battle here, east of Insterburg, or northeast of Swalki. The names of the areas are pretty complicated. The Soviets have 8 dice. We'll roll the triple fire airstrike, scoring 1 hit. The Soviets will roll. They score 1 hit as well. So 1 and 1. I'm just going to combine all the Soviet casualties into one giant pile, but it would be interesting to keep track of casualties per area, right, or per hex, per region. But you can get a sense of like trying to keep track of data in a real sense. And I'll go ahead and post a link to one of my channels, which is a Cliodynamics channel. Cliodynamics is the mathematical modeling of history. That's something that I'm really interested in working on. And so I'll go ahead and post a link in that channel. Feel free to check it out. But I think in the future, what I aim to do in the future is to see if we can like get better modeling of this type of data. Whether it's in wargaming or in history, you get the idea. The Soviets roll, they only scored 1 hit. The Germans are going to roll their 2 double fire and then 2 single fire. So technically it's 8 double fire dice and 7 single fire dice. And we scored 1, 2, we scored 3 hits against the Soviets. 1, 2, 3. And so now the Soviets are at 10 casualties. We do this battle here. The Soviets get to roll 3 double fire and 1 single fire. They scored 2 hits against the Germans. Ouch. The Germans are at 4. And then we'll go ahead and do this battle here. The Soviets have the 11th Army. And we'll roll the airstrike, scoring 1 hit. The Soviets will roll, scoring no hits. And now the Panzers will roll. And just like that, they score 3 hits. And they do break through. Excellent. We achieved a breakthrough just on the first turn. That's going to be an additional 5 losses for the Soviets. And see, just like that, we didn't need to attack. We didn't need to go all out on Bialystok because we're now encircling it. We'll do the Battle of Bialystok. No hits on either side. Battle of Brest-Litovsk, a very important battle. There was like a Soviet fort there, and the Soviets held out for quite a while. I saw that in a Soviet documentary. Pretty interesting. The Germans score 1 hit. Okay. And then we'll do now the battle south of that, Battle of Kovel. So we'd score a hit. And now the Germans will roll. They scored 2 hits. Very nice. So the Germans are at 5, and the Soviets are at 17 casualties. Now we'll do this battle over here, Battle of, I think it's called Lusk, but it's Luck in this game. If I pull out the map, I think it's like Lutsk, Ukraine. Yeah, it's Lutsk, not Luke. So maybe there was a misspelling or something, I'm not sure, or maybe it had a different name back in the day. But you can see this region is Lutsk, and it's northeast of Lviv, or in the case of the Soviet Union, Lvov, right? In Russian, it's Lvov. In Ukrainian, it's Lviv. So I just find that pretty interesting. This is an area where there were some major tank battles. The Soviets do have a lot of armor here, a lot of mech and armored units. So we'll go ahead and roll. The Soviets get to roll 6 double fire. And they score 3 hits against the Germans. Ouch. 1, 2, 3. So that was a battle with heavy German casualties. Presumably about 66,000 German casualties there. Germans will retaliate, and they score 1 hit. Okay. Now the Battle of Lvov. German air power rolls, scoring a hit. Soviets are going to roll. They're 2 double fire and 3 single fire. They score 1 hit. Okay, against German infantry. We're always going to include German infantry casualties first because they're cheaper, right? Germans will roll their armor. They score 4 hits, 5. Just like that, they actually broke through. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They broke through. And that's going to be another 7 for the Soviets. Wow. That was impressive. That was really impressive. That Panzer Corps really wrecked. It goes to show you how strong the German Panzer Corps are. The Soviet army is now going to be out of supplies on the next turn. No hits on either side. Okay, this is really bad for the Soviets. We'll go ahead and do other battles here. These battles are going to be unsupported combat, so they're going to be... the Germans have to roll double the amount of dice to score hits. And they still score a hit. Wow. But you can see that the Soviet casualties are beginning to mount quite a bit. We're at 25 Soviet lost steps. And the Soviets score a hit against the Germans. So it's about a 2-to-1 ratio in casualties as far as steps go. But it's going to be much higher as far as casualties go. Or about the same, actually. We'll do the Battle of Kishinev. So we score a hit, nice. And the Romanians, I think the Romanians, the Romanian army was substantially larger. It was about 600,000 troops. And so I'm pretty sure each Romanian step is more than 22,000. So what I'll do is, let's see if I can do the calculation here. Let's see. The also keep in mind that Axis cadre are 1.5 times the cost, so not double the cost. So it's going to be 4.5 plus another 4.5, right? Plus 3.5. About 12 and a half Romanian steps. We can ask ChatGPT and say how many Romanian units were, how many Romanian soldiers were in Operation Barbarossa. Barbarossa. I think it's about 600,000. I'll also include these Romanian militia units. Oh, okay, it says 325,000 to 340,000. I think I'm pretty sure by July of 1941 that number rose to more. It says here, for example, Romanian forces later expanded significantly. By 1942, over 500,000 troops were fighting on the Eastern Front. So I'm going to kind of go with my gut here and go with that 600,000 and just count the entire Romanian, the entire Romanian group. So we'll add another 3 here. So basically 600,000 divided by 15.5. It's about 38,000 per step. So that's almost double, right? It's about double. So I think it's about double. That's what I'm trying to say. So we'll go ahead and just count it as double. So I'll make it 12 for the Axis, even though technically it's 11. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Do another battle here. All right, that's that. Okay, so that's the already initial phase. Now we'll do the blitz phase. And now, I mean, the Germans are gonna like clean sweep the Soviets, I think, in our game. This game may actually end early. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna go ahead and march this German infantry unit, I think, forward. We'll march this infantry unit attack. 1, 2, 3. Wow, we can do that. That's crazy. Maybe we should try to encircle. We can either attack or encircle. I think we should go for the encirclement instead, and just try to encircle these Soviet units. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, like so. I think we'll pull out this infantry unit. We'll go here, and we kind of have this blockade to deny the Soviets we could try to go here. Actually, what I'll do instead is move this armored unit over here and try to destroy this 18th Soviet army. And by doing that, we can cut off these Soviet formations over here. All right, so we'll do that. Move this Panzer Corps forward. And we really don't have... we need more reinforcements to attack this Soviet cluster at Lutsk. And I could just send one Panzer Corps unit forward, but I kind of want to send in an infantry unit forward because the Soviets can still inflict a lot of casualties on us if we're not careful. So actually, this infantry... Oh, no, this infantry unit's pulling out. Yeah, so... kind of a tricky situation. I'm pretty sure this Soviet unit here is just a HQ. So actually what I'll do is just send a Panzer Corps unit by themselves there, and I'll move this infantry unit forward into this area. Yeah, that's pretty good, pretty interesting moves. And then we'll go ahead and move Army Group South HQ to Lvov, which is where we broke through. And then... we can also move this one of these German units forward because this area is actually German controlled. Oh yeah, so we're gonna move this unit forward like so, and we're actually gonna put this Soviet group out of supplies as well. Yeah, not a good look for the Soviets. I'm actually thinking this Panzer Corps, I'm actually thinking instead of attacking that area, we're going to go ahead and go like this and completely cut off all these Soviet formations, put them out of supplies. That's the game plan. All right, pretty good. The Germans have a breakthrough here as well. And so we're going to go ahead, I think what I'll do is march these two Panzer Corps, just go straight in. It's kind of a gamble because the Soviets have a strong defense, presumably, but I think it's going to pay off in the long term. That's the idea. And just move these mechanized units, or technically motorized infantry units. I thought they were mechanized, but they're actually motorized infantry. Move that forward. Go ahead and put another infantry unit into this hex. We'll put a Panzer Corps into that hex as well. We did a great breakthrough over there in the north. So all I need to do is put another Panzer Corps there, frankly, to kind of like guarantee a breakthrough. And then I'll go ahead and pull out one infantry unit here. And then I'm going to, oh man, I thought I had more Panzer Corps. I kind of want to stack as many Panzer Corps as I can over here. But I guess I won't. I guess I'll just leave it at 2 and 2. And then go ahead and put this Army Group Center HQ, Army Group North HQ rather, right here. Although it's probably going to have to... Oh, I'm thinking, you know what? No. I think we're going to be able to... We want to put these Soviet units out of supply. So you know what? I'm actually going to get this 48th Panzer Corps, go 1, 2, 3 at Vilna. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Unless we have a unit in Kaunas, we're not going to be able to put it out of supplies. Okay. So yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for the German turn. We'll put an airstrike marker over here. And yeah, just continue the operation. Ideally, we actually do as much damage as we can over here. That's really where we need to do damage. Because that's the best place to put our HQ on the next turn. So we have to score 2 hits there, basically. So we'll go ahead and do that. Deactivate OKW. And I think we'll go ahead and, no, we'll keep Army Group A activated, and we'll put the airstrike marker there. All right. So that's it for the Germans. Already some pretty substantial breakthroughs have taken place. We'll go ahead and do the next round of combat. Oh, actually, I'll probably go ahead and send this 54th Corps in here. And just might as well send it forward and support the battle there since we have combat support. So let's start. Germans score a hit up here in the north. Now we got the battle here west of Kaunas. Soviets miss. Panzers roll. There we go. Actually, this was technically a roll of 3. We score a hit there. Soviets are now at 28 casualties. Now we'll do this battle here. Scoring 2 hits, just like that. Very nice. Soviets roll. They still score a hit. And now the Germans roll with 2 Panzer Corps. Just like that, we scored 2 more hits. Excellent. Clear that area of Soviet resistance. So that was going to be 4 Soviet casualties because they're both were cadre. Now we'll do this battle here. This is a battle of Grodno. The Soviets roll. They score a hit against the infantry. And that's going to be 14 for the Axis. We roll 4 double fire, no hits, dang it. And only 1 hit with the infantry. So we needed to score 2, we only scored 1. Now we'll do this battle over here of Slutsk. Soviets have 5 dice, 1 double fire. Ooh, they score hits. Oof, they score 3 hits against our Panzer Corps. Damn, that was actually pretty brutal for the Axis. That's what I mean. Germans score no hits. Wow, pretty bad. We'll do the Battle of Brest-Litovsk. This is unsupported combat. Soviets roll, no hits. Germans roll, no hits. Okay. Now the Battle of Lutsk. Airstrike, no hits. Soviets still have a lot of armor. They score 1 hit. Yeah, German casualties are definitely mounting. We'll roll 7 double fire and 5 single fire. And they score 3 hits, not bad. Actually it's 1, 2, 3, nice. And I think that unit's going to be encircled. Then we'll do the Battle of Ternopil. This area is unsupported combat because it's out of command range. No defensive fire. The Germans roll and they score no hits. We'll do this battle here as well. Oh, the Soviets do score a hit, and the Axis do not. Dang it. And then I think the last battle we want to do is against this 18th Army, and we need to score 2 dice, almost. We rolled a 5, we needed to roll a 6, and we would have put these Soviet units out of supplies. Alright, so that's going to be it for the Axis. We'll deactivate the HQs, and now we'll mark the Soviet units out of supplies. A lot of Soviet units are out of supplies right now. This unit is going to be out of supplies. Actually, no, it's in supplies. Never mind. It's in supplies. The range is 2. Okay, but like a lot of Soviet units are indeed out of supplies. Yeah. And so basically all the, oh, and I think, yeah, these units are also out of supplies too. Yeah, so all the units that are out of supplies are going to take a loss. So this unit goes away. This unit goes away. So these are going to be additional Soviet casualties, right? I think I'm just going to count them all. So that's another 3. There's another one there. We probably could have attacked there. Over here, another loss. 41. This unit's going to go away. That's going to be 43. These 2 units are going to be removed as well. So now we're at 47. You can see the casualties are mounting up substantially. And these 2. We won't count any units over here because it's an HQ, but we will count the supply loss over there. 48. Okay, so yeah, pretty bad situation for the Soviets as far as the strategic situation goes. Basically, the Germans have, put a gaping hole. If I were to use these kind of black markers indicating, basically where German recon units have, arrived, I just kind of want to show you the extent of the German range. Yeah. Oh, we can delete this. Yeah, so now if we switch over to the Soviet perspective and we look at the map, we kind of zoom out and just take a look at the whole front. I think it's pretty cool to look. You can see that there's a gaping hole where the Soviet southwestern front used to be located. Basically, the border, the southeastern border of Poland and the Soviet Union, there's a gaping hole, and the Soviets have literally nothing at the present moment to fill in that hole. So I think we're about to see a very successful Operation Barbarossa. Very successful one, and our game may actually end early. I thought this game would play until like 1945, but I'm pretty sure this game might end pretty early, based off of just how bad the Soviet situation is. So we'll go ahead and do the Soviet turn, and there's really not much we can do. Go ahead and activate the Southern HQ, and I think we're gonna just try to pull back. I don't even know. The problem is that the Soviet HQs are all disrupted. They're all disrupted. So we'll definitely activate this Western HQ. It's going to be disrupted. So its range is a range of 2 rather than a range of 3. Go ahead and activate this Baltic HQ. And it's also disrupted. So its range is 1 rather than 2. And then we'll go ahead and activate Stavka here. It's also disrupted. It has 4 supreme moves rather than the usual 6. And so now we got to figure out what's the game plan here. And I think we just need to fall back and establish a defensive line as quickly as possible. That's the game plan for the Soviets. We'll go ahead and deploy it over here, and just pull our units back. What I'll do actually is pull back the infantry first, then pull back the armored unit, which is going to have a pursuit fire. Then I'll go ahead and move this armor unit to Mogilev. I think I'll move this infantry unit near Smolensk. And that's it. That's really all we can do with this army group. There's no other units that are in range. So go ahead, deactivate it, and then mobilize it to Smolensk. Just like that. It's a decent defensive line. Then I got to get this Baltic HQ to pull back, right? First thing we're going to pull back this infantry unit and move it to Riga. Then I'm going to move, I think, 1 infantry unit to Dugov Pills. Actually, we'll leave it, yeah, I think we'll move it to Dugov Pills. Move this mech unit. Kind of a tricky situation. But the logic I have is that we establish some kind of defensive line along the river, and then we hopefully can pull back on the next turn. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. It's a very risky withdrawal. We have this Leningrad HQ. I don't think there's anything I want to do with that. I'm also going to activate Stavka, and I'm going to do some supreme moves. What I'll do is actually move these 2 infantry units and have them move by rail. And yeah, I got to figure out what the game plan is. We need to reinforce Kyiv for sure. That's like priority number 1. I think the priority right now is to kind of fill in this sector of the front as best I can. So maybe this armored unit actually goes 1, 2, 3 like this. We'll do 1 strategic move here. We can make a market by rail. Then I need another one at Kyiv. We'll go ahead and move this infantry unit by rail, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to Kyiv. So that's 2 strategic moves. And then let's see what else. What else can we do? Move this HQ to the south. March it to the south. And then I think, so that's we did 1, 2, 3 strategic moves. I think the last one we'll just leave in Zitomir. It's kind of a risk because the Germans could possibly break through and still destroy our southern HQ. I'm trying not to activate it right now because I want to I kind of want to save it, but I don't think I have a choice. I think I have to activate it and just try to assemble get these infantry units to fall back. This is also disrupted. And then, let's see, another strategic rail move. Go ahead and move this guy by rail. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to Z-Termine right there. So technically, we've done 3 strategic rail moves so far. This is definitely a delicate turn for the Soviets. We've got one more strategic move left to spend. I think we'll pull back this infantry unit here. These units, I can't even mobilize them. And forget about trying to mobilize these out of supply units. They're like completely gone. They're goners. So that leaves me with one strategic rail move left. And ideally, we put it in Vitebsk. And I think that's what we should do. Or pull back this 9th Army. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to pull it back. So I'll cancel this move. And I'll go ahead and move it to Orsha, just leave it there. And then the last strategic move we'll do is this unit here. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 strategic moves. And that way we actually have a stable front line, even though it's like paper thin. At the very least, it's functional. And actually, I realize, actually, that's not even a guarantee. I'm actually going to have this infantry unit withdraw to Vinica, and this armor unit will stay there. Maybe move it here, and this mech unit. No, we'll switch that up. Yeah, and then move that HQ to Odessa. These units don't have, the mech unit is faster, so there's no pursuit fire for this one. There is a pursuit fire over here. Germans do not score a hit, thank goodness. We had a few other pursuit fires. We've got one over here. Germans do score hits, so there is a hole in the front line. So we suffer another 2 losses. Okay. What else? There was another pursuit fire over here, withdrawing from Memel, northeast of Memel. And the Germans roll 10 dice. Ooh, and they score 2 hits. This unit is also neutralized. So the Soviets are at 53, so it's substantial. All right, go ahead and deactivate Stavka, clear the weather. That's it for the Soviets. We will go ahead and switch over to the British. You know, we still have the Mediterranean front that's still going on, not as eventful. But the British can do a number of things, right? First of all, we're going to attack Ethiopia. Go ahead and do that with air support. I think something else that we can do is launch an amphibious invasion against occupied France. The only problem is that we don't have a beachhead marker. And it's right now in, it should be in prep status. Yeah, there should be a marker there. Pretty sure we had that deployed. Yeah, it's prep status, but it's not in ready status. And so I think, as tempting as it is to do an operation with the British, I think we should play strategically wise and hold off a little longer before we make an operation against the Axis. Well, I'll go ahead and activate this HQ though, the Supreme HQ, and actually start moving some of these units across. I think we'll do 2 Supreme moves. So 2 Supreme moves like so, and 2 Supreme moves each, so that's 4 Supreme moves altogether. This is a cross-command location, so we can operate at full efficiency in the Mediterranean front. That's why we put it there. But basically, we're going to move up some more reinforcements, transfer them over into Egypt, and then I think that's it. So we'll go ahead and attack Ethiopia, see how this battle goes. We have single fire air support. We score 1 hit, but they have double defense. Now in the Mediterranean front, mech units have double fire and armored units have triple fire. So all the firepower is increased by by a factor of 1 basically. And so this mech unit actually is going to be able to roll 4 double fire. But first the defenders roll and they do score a hit. Ouch. And then the mech will roll and they score a hit too. Excellent. Just like that, we've taken over Ethiopia. Very nice. I haven't been keeping track of Mediterranean front casualties. It's a little bit more complex, but I presume that each step is something along the orders of, I don't know, like 5 to 10,000 troops. I forget the exact figure, but it's about 5 to 10,000 troops, something like this. While the Italian steps are much larger, I think they're about 15,000 troops. So presumably, and we can kind of confirm this, but like how many Italian soldiers were in Ethiopia in World War II? Now we had 2 steps, right? Including the cadre. So wow, according to this calculation, 250,000 to 300,000. So that would suggest that I guess we'll only include Italian soldiers, not the colonial troops. But still, presumably 1 step in Ethiopia is 50,000 Italian troops, a substantial amount of Italian troops. Yeah, so yeah, again, calculating is not necessary, but I think it's interesting. And wherever we can explore it, I think it's worthwhile. So if we can't go full in with the Mediterranean front, if I can't go full in with the Mediterranean front, because the numbers are too complex, we can definitely keep track of the Eastern Front. All right, so there's that. That's going to conclude the British turn. We're going to go ahead and we deactivated the HQ. This marker should say June. It's the first fortnight, too, of June 1941. And keep in mind that the historical operation of Operation Barbarossa began on June 22nd. So that would have been the second fortnight of the game. If you play the East Front 1941 scenario, you start on the second fortnight of June. So presumably we've bought ourselves about 3 more weeks, 2 to 3 more weeks of extra weather for the invasion. And there's a fascinating what if for Operation Barbarossa, which is what if they started the invasion sooner? Now, they couldn't have started, they probably would have not been able to start too soon, starting as early as May. And that's because if you look at the Eastern Front, they could have had mud rolls historically. There was a rainy season in as late as May, and that rain would have inhibited the operation. But in June, presumably, it would have been clear weather. So although I don't think the German army could have started the operation as early as May 1941, I do think they could have started early, a bit sooner in June. But the main reason why they didn't is because during that first fortnight of June, they were still transferring units from Greece to the Eastern Front or to Poland, right? And if you look at this historical setup, the German OKW, Oberkommando des Wehrmacht, is at level 2 rather than at level 3 in the historical setup, suggesting that it was spent in that month. And so presumably those units were being spent, that HQ was spent transferring units from Greece to Poland. And that's the main reason why they didn't start, because they still were transferring reinforcements. I think that's the general idea. So anyways, we'll go ahead and we'll get rid of these black markers. I just kind of have it there for show. And then we'll go ahead and hide all the German units. And now we can go ahead and start the second fortnight of Operation Barbarossa. What I'll go ahead and do is put this Army Group North here, so that it's in range of as many German units as possible. And then I guess I'll go ahead and think we're going to blitz with Army Group South because I want to encircle. Kyiv, so we're going to go ahead and blitz, and then we're going to get as many units on the march as we can. So let's see. I'll move armored units this way. Move another armored unit over here. Infantry unit here. I have space for one more unit. Might as well go ahead and send another armored unit that way. Then we'll get all these German units to march forward. I'll move this infantry unit forward. I'll move this mech unit out. And I think it can, no, it can't go there, but it can go right here. Then I'll go ahead and move another infantry unit. Move this infantry unit in there as well. I'll go ahead and leave that mech unit there. Let's see, what other units can we command? We could try to do river assaults over here. I don't think it's really necessary. But I'll go ahead and try to do a river crossing over here. And then I'll put a mech unit there. This HQ could probably move up. We got to be careful what the Soviets have over here. If they have like a cavalry unit, yeah, they probably do. So we want to contest as many units as we can. So actually, I kind of want to contest Sarnauti. I think that's what we want to do. But the question is just with which unit do we want to do that? I guess we'll go ahead and get this unit to march forward. And then as far as river assault goes, okay, I'm going to shuffle around a few more units. This mech unit will go here. This infantry unit will participate in a river assault. So this area is going to be a river assault. Yeah. All right, so that's pretty good. We're not going to activate OKW because it's at level 2, but we will get it on the march. And then as far as Army Group North, we're not going to blitz with it. I'm just going to get it to march. And the idea being that we can get just as many units as we can marching forward. We'll do a river assault over here with our full strength mech armored units. Just pretty much get our infantry to keep marching forward. That's kind of the game plan. So we're doing several river assaults over here. Another one here. And then other infantry will just march forward. This area unit, that unit's going to be out of supplies. What I'll go ahead and do is then attack Orsha with as many units as I can. We're definitely overextending our units a bit, but the idea is that we cover as much ground as we can. 1, 2, 3, like so. And that unit can then cut off Kyiv. Yeah, that's the idea. Infantry can march forward. Basically get as much infantry as we can marching forward, covering as much ground as we can. Yeah. And now, as far as Army Group North, if you look at the setup, one thing that's really helpful when you're doing Operation Barbarossa is if you look at the setup, you count how many infantry units you have, and you want to kind of maintain that amount throughout the operation. So Army Group North, for example, has 6 infantry corps, and so I want to make sure I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like the border between Army Group North and Army Group Center is at Molodechno, right? There's 6 German infantry corps to the north of that. That's part of Army Group Center, or Army Group North rather, and then everything south of that is part of Army Group South, Army Group Center, excuse me. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count 5 German corps, 6, 7, 8, 9. So actually, a third of the German corps are basically left behind to keep these Soviet units out of supplies. And now I know that one of these Soviet units was at level 1 cadre. I'm not sure which one it was. And so it's kind of a gamble, right? I'm pretty sure it was the unit at Brest-Litovsk. So we're going to go ahead and just take that gamble, and we're going to get this unit to march. So there will be withdrawal, pursuit fire from Brest-Litovsk. But the idea is to minimize how many what is it? How many units are being left behind, right? We want as much momentum forward. Now, I could blitz, and these infantry units would be further up, but because we're doing such a good job with breakthrough right now, I think we can kind of take our time a little bit more. But you can see like there's one German army here. Typically, an army is comprised of 3 to 4 corps. So there's one German infantry army, and it's in the dead center of the front, but it's not really being used for anything right now, right? I guess presumably it's still being used to clean up Soviet pockets of troops that would have been fleeing throughout the sector. But this game doesn't really show that at the strategic level. But the point is, I know we had a mech corps. Yeah, that mech corps is being used. This Panzer Corps, we're attacking with understrength Panzer Corps at the present moment. It's kind of a gamble, because if we sustain more casualties, it's going to be a problem. Notice how we only have 3 Panzer Corps, including this mech corps, attacking the central front. The main German Panzer concentration at the present moment is being directed towards crossing the Divina River. So Army Group North basically has 2 Panzer Corps at the present moment, while Army Group Center has about 2 Panzer Corps. I say 2 Panzer Corps, I meant to say Panzer Army. A Panzer Army is about 2 to 3 Panzer Corps. So there's like 1 Panzer Army here, and then just basically 2 German divisions moving south. And so 1 Panzer Army there, 1 Panzer Army. I can use this battle marker. 1 Panzer Army there, 1 Panzer Army there, basically 1 Panzer Army there, right? And then that's it. We got another Panzer Army here. So about 4 Panzer Army I count at the present moment for Operation Barbarossa. So about the same of what we got historically, probably a larger concentration of armor. But as far as the formation goes, they're basically the same. I'm pretty sure this unit over here is at level 1. So actually, what I'll go ahead and do is I'll actually mobilize it. 1, 2, 3 like this. And this Army Group South is blitzing at the moment. So that's going to be interesting. All right. So we'll put an airstrike marker. I'll get rid of these battle hexes, but these were just to indicate where we are going to have battles there, but is really to indicate where the German panzer armies are concentrated. But overall, good push. The Soviets are going to lose 2 production points because they lost Minsk and Riga, and the Germans are going to gain 2. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 on the Eastern Front, and then the Soviet production is actually going to go up by 30, multiplied by 3. The Soviet production is actually at 68 when the war begins. It's going to go down to 66. Yeah, because I think I forgot to include Soviet production by 2. My mistake. I don't think it would have made much of a difference. I think they would have gained like 1 production point or something like that. No, they would have gained 2. But you know, oh well. Something that I forgot to do, but it's not a huge deal. It's not a big deal. But the situation for the Soviets is pretty dire right now, and it's like just when you think it couldn't get any worse. All right, so as you can tell, this is a fascinating turn. I mean, this is the total strategic breakthrough phase of Operation Barbarossa, right? Where now the German army is expanding into Soviet territory and the nature of the fighting changes. Rather than having a concentrated battle at the front, we're now kind of entering this kind of deep strategic penetration, you know, which is what the Soviets would call it. But this is where German blitzkrieg, or what it was really known as Bewegungskrieg and Schwerpunkt. Bewegungskrieg stood for mobile warfare. If I look up Bewegungskrieg, it stood for basically mobile warfare. Oh, and it's actually all in German at the moment. And then there's another concept called Schwerpunkt, English. And Schwerpunkt translates for focus, main point, focal point, emphasis, or center of gravity. And it's basically the primary area of effort or concentration, especially in military strategy, like Blitzkrieg decisive breakthrough point. It combines schwer, heavy, with point, and signifies where maximum force or tension is directed for impact. And you can see here that we actually have a diagram of literally Operation Barbarossa, right? And so this is where Schwerpunkt basically began to fail. In a sense, it began to fail because the fighting became so diluted. And so you can see here, we still actually have a few points of Schwerpunkt. Basically, wherever our Panzer armies are being concentrated, we still have Schwerpunkt still going on. But as far as the rest of the front goes, we don't have much action going on. Yeah, this did not load. This image did not load. I think it was a AI generated image. It might be, I'm not sure. Or it might be a Reddit post. But the point is, we still actually have a few areas of Schwerpunkt, but they are much fewer and far between compared to what we had initially, where we had many more points of concentration. As far as the game is concerned, it's about the same, but I'm pretty sure at an operational level, there would have been a much greater concentration of focal points throughout the front. So yeah, anyways, I think it's, you know, food for thought, interesting, you know, kind of military historical commentary, that is. All right, so let's go ahead and start the battles. We'll do the Battle of Dugov-Pils, if I'm pronouncing that right. So it's roll 2 dice, and they both repulse. Wow. So we don't have much Schwerpunkt, as you can tell. Much more diluted. We have no air support in these battles either. Here's another one. So it's roll 2, and they also score 2 repulses. My goodness. That was pretty brilliant for the Soviets. So the Germans failed to cross the Dvina River. Well, actually, we do succeed at taking Riga, but we did not penetrate the main Soviet defensive line there. Now we'll do this Battle of Orsha, which is kind of the gateway, you know, one of the gateway regions to Smolensk, which it itself is the gateway city to Moscow, to the road to Moscow. Soviets roll, they score no hits. The Germans roll, scoring no hits because they needed double fire, and we only scored 1 hit there. Okay, so at least the Germans got away scot-free there. Now we'll do the Battle of Vinitsa. So we only have 1 unit defending there. We roll the airstrike, and the airstrike clears the way. So that was pretty easy. And now the Soviets lost 2 more. This was a river assault as well. Oh man, I already had the river marker there. Oh, and I just deleted a German unit. Oops. I didn't mean to delete the German units. Okay, so we got a river assault here. Soviets only have 1 basically armored core, presumably. I think it might be, yeah, like 1 Soviet mechanized core. And they do score a hit, but they do not score a repulse. So the German casualties go up to 20. The Germans do have combat support, and they score a hit as well, and they break through. Excellent. Just like that. Battle of Sarnati. Soviets roll, no hits. Germans roll. Oof. A lot of 5s, but no 6s. But we didn't need to break through, we just needed to contest. And just like that, oh, we have this battle here with, it's a fresh battle against the Soviet HQ, and we score 1 hit. Excellent. And so now that unit is guaranteed to be defeated because it's going to be out of supplies. We did a pursuit fire here. There's not going to be any because the German mech unit is faster. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to encircle Kyiv. That's what we're going to do next. So it's going to be a pretty cool maneuver. I'll send this infantry unit into Kyiv. Move this infantry unit up here. And then I have 3 Panzer Corps. And basically, I think we can just spread out. 1, 2, 3, like so. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh man. Actually, this last one will go 1, 2, 3, like so. And then move this infantry unit up. These units are out of command range, so they can't move. But we want to ideally contest this area here. And then what else? We got 1 more mech unit. Go ahead and move up this HQ. What else? Yeah, these Soviet units are going to be out of supplies. Go ahead and move up. Let's see. Oh, we want to contest Zitomir, like so. 1, 2, 3, I guess. Put it there. I'll move it to Uman. And then, oh, we need 1 more unit over here in the south. Oh, we definitely need a unit there. I'll go ahead and put the mech unit there. And then we got 1 more infantry unit that we can move. I'll go ahead and put this in Vinica. And that's it. We basically have like double layer defense. We'll see how this battle goes over here. The Soviets might inflict casualties on Balta. But the idea is that we are basically cutting off the Soviet ability to protect Ukraine. And it shows right now with this massive breakthrough. And then that's it. There's no other battles we want to do because we're not blitzing up here in the north. But we'll go ahead and start the Battle of Kyiv. And I'm going to charge my computer. The Soviets do score a hit on the Germans. 21. Germans roll, no hits. Battle Zitomir. No hits from the Soviets. Germans roll, they score no hits. I also forgot to deactivate Armor Group South and have it march to Vinica. That is something I want to do. And then what else? Now due to the Battle of Balta, Soviets roll, almost scoring 2 hits. Germans roll, scoring no hits. And just like that, we have now concluded all the battles along the front. Now we just got to check for the units that are out of supplies. This unit, this unit's going to be out of supplies. This unit's going to be out of supplies. And these 2 units are also out of supplies. So Soviet casualties are still going to mount because of supplies. So let's go ahead and do that. This unit's gone. This unit's reduced by 1. Oh, we forgot to do pursuit fire over here. No hits. This unit's gone. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Soviet casualties. This unit's going to be gone. 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12. So that's, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 additional Soviet units basically encircled. That's going to go from 55 to 67. Let's see how much that is. 12 times 25. It's about another 300,000 encircled troops. Oh, and then these two units as well. So it would have been interesting for me to calculate. Oops. It would have been interesting for me to calculate. What's it called? How many of these casualties? How many were encircled? And I'm not exactly sure. But I would say about half. Presumably about half of these units are lost just from encirclements, which is a substantial number. We've taken Kyiv, so we'll update the production. 3 here, -1 there, and that's it for the Axis. Really, really, really good breakthrough for the Axis overall. So we'll go ahead. Let's see. Actually, check the Mediterranean front to see if there's any Axis moves I want to do, and there's not. We don't have any HQs over there that we want to do. So that's going to be that. And then I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is now switch over to the Soviets and see what the Soviets do. So the strategic situation is pretty dire for the Red Army right now. But they at least got a bit of saving grace over here in this sector. But I think, I don't know if we should hold the line or keep withdrawing. I mean, the Germans have already achieved a breakthrough here in Ukraine. So that's already a huge game changer strategically. And I don't think there's anything the Soviets can do at the moment. I know that I'm going to go ahead and activate this Baltic HQ. It's not going to be disrupted anymore. And the idea is to get as many Soviet troops to retreat. Basically get as many Soviet units to retreat towards Leningrad. And the faster we can retreat towards Leningrad, the better. And then I think I'll go ahead and activate... I don't know. I don't know if we should hold this river. I mean, I feel like this line has already been exploited. And I think we should probably retreat. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the Western HQ. And just try to get as many troops as we can to fall back to more favorable defensive positions. And then, let's see, what else can we do? Just because of the southern flank, it's just the southern flank is super vulnerable. We're going to go ahead and activate Stavka as well. And then I'm going to strategically move as many units as I can to fill in these gaps. So we'll go like this. Let's see about those Soviet reinforcements. Can we deploy them? We can deploy them into minor cities. Very good, because we're going to need that. So it's going to be one strategic move. 1, 2, 3. That's 2 strategic moves. We have 4 in total. And then we desperately got to save this group, this Soviet front, which is about to be encircled. And we're going to just desperately make a breakout and basically make a run for Soviet territory. And then I guess one more strategic move would be this guy, falling back to Odessa. Yeah, like so. So we just are able to barely escape the strategic pocket and get some of our units to fall back further east. So we did 3 strategic moves, and then I think, what else? One more strategic move left, and maybe we did deploy this 13th Army and try to figure out, we want to have a strategic reserve around Moscow. So I'm actually going to cancel this move. And I'm going to go ahead and move this unit from Yaroslav, which is a little bit further in Soviet territory. Yeah, like so. So we can have a little bit more units concentrated around Moscow. We'll go ahead and move this last unit. I'm actually thinking, yeah, I'm pretty sure we want to concentrate around, um, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna, we need a strategic reserve around, around Moscow, like ASAP. Um, we're gonna do a last strategic move and move this 7th Army and move it to Murmansk, like so. No, 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 that's kind of risky. Go ahead and move this HQ to Soroka, like so. I think is what we'll do. Um, that was 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the problem is that if the Finnish attack, they're gonna be able to like cut us off and put us in serious trouble. No, so I think what we'll do is cancel that strategic move, and I think what I'm gonna do is move this guy. And move it to Moscow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, did it? Why is it saying May? It should be saying June. Okay. And then deactivate this HQ, and then I guess we're gonna have it move to Bryansk. One area of pursuit fire, the Battle of Orsha. Definitely risky. I'm thinking maybe, you know what, I'm gonna redo this move here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put it in Rezhev there, just in case this unit gets totally obliterated. You know, but you can see that the Soviet line is like paper thin right now. But at least we have somewhat of a tangible line. That's the priority when you're playing as the Soviets, is you want to establish a defensive line as efficiently as possible. We have some pursuit fire going on, so we'll do the 4th Romanian Army. They do score a hit here. The 3rd Romanian Army rolls. They also score a hit. Ouch. Okay. Now the Germans are going to roll. They have double fire because they're like motorized and armored formations, so they're faster. They score 1 hit. Okay, good. All right, and then what else? That's it for the Soviets. So the Soviets lose 3 more hits. 74. Deactivate Stavka. We can switch over to the British perspective. I can't believe this was the first fortnight of combat, my goodness, and already so much has happened. I'll go ahead and activate this HQ, and then move it to Sudan, then go ahead and deactivate it, and that's going to be it for the British. And I think we can now do production. And so yeah, we'll go ahead and start with British production first. And let's see what the British have. The British are going to have 20 production points on the Mediterranean front. That's 4 dice rolls, and they roll 16 dice altogether. So let's see. We can build up another HQ, and then build up an infantry. Go ahead and build up this infantry unit. Or actually, no, we'll go ahead build up this guy. Then, you know, only 12 production points for the British. So we're going to transfer that over to August and save that for the Western Front production. There's that. Now we are going to go ahead and do Soviet production. Very important that we do Soviet production. And let's see how this goes. If you made it this far, thank you so much for your patience, for your interest. We are now entering like the next phase. I am very parched right now, so I am going to get a beverage real quick. yes, I'm going to go ahead and get a beverage. But I think we can definitely keep this video going. Shout out to Gotham Chess. He doesn't do any video editing, and he inspired me to not do any as well. And so it certainly makes it a heck of a lot easier, and also a better flow state. So now let's do Soviet production, and let's see how this goes. This is going to be like one of the most important turns of the game. Soviet production right now is at 65, okay? And we can now, let's calculate like how many casualties do the Soviets sustain. 74. So if I do 74 times 25, according to my calculations, the Soviets sustained about 1.85 million casualties, about half of which are units that were encircled or surrounded. So I think historically, by this stage in the operation, Soviet casualties were about 1 million. And so in our game, Soviet casualties are nearly double of what we had historically. That's kind of what I've assessed. And so we'll go ahead and do Soviet production. Now, the Soviet play style for production is really interesting. But if you read a book like David Glantz and you read up on Operation Barbarossa, you learn that the Soviets had to completely abandon their old structure, old military structure, and start from scratch. And their priority right now was not to build armored formations, but to focus on building rifle divisions. Basically, they built rifle divisions and cavalry divisions. They didn't even build rifle corps. Now, in our game, one step is about two to three rifle divisions, and presumably it's about the equivalent of a Soviet infantry corps, or rather rifle corps is what they called it. So all I'm going to do is we're going to kind of adopt that strategy, and we're not going to build up any armored units. The armored units are simply too pricey to build up. We're simply going to focus on building. We still have a lot of French units here in the dead pile. French, Yugoslavian, Greek. I'm going to move these units. Polish. We're going to move those units a little bit out of the space. But we're going to simply prioritize on building up our infantry. And that's going to take priority number one. We're not even going to build up mech units. Simply build up as much infantry as we can. So that's kind of the game plan. I'll leave 2 infantry units as a kind of like an extra reserve. But right now, for example, I can build up 9 infantry corps, right? The Soviets have this Soviet production cost, which goes down because the Great Patriotic War has begun. I probably should indicate that with these markers. I think there's a marker here for the Great Patriotic War. And because the Germans declared, this is a diplomatic event, but because the Germans declared war on the Soviets, I think SG occurs automatically. Let's look at the rule book. Let's see here. SG, Great Patriotic War, occurs immediately upon Axis declaration of war without affecting future Allied Soviet diplomatic choices. So, yep. This is going to be a marker located in, basically it's going to start July 41. And the advantage, I won't go into the rule book, but the advantage is that the Soviets have reduced costs in their units. And so you can see the Soviet costs, they have these Soviet costs. And so infantry are costs 2 per step, and the cadre cost 4. So they're pretty much half the cost of Axis and Allied units. So they're more cost efficient, basically. And that's kind of how the developers simulated the Soviet reserve advantage, is that the units are much cheaper. But to be fair, the Soviets have less production, and they also have to counter the fact that their casualties are much, much higher. I mean, if we look at the Soviet steppes, the Soviets suffered nearly more than three times the Axis casualties as far as steppes go. So even if they have a 2-to-1 advantage in production, they have a 3-to-1 disadvantage in casualties. And so that's something to kind of just keep in mind, that the Soviet cost advantages may not fully counterbalance the fact that the Soviet casualties have been so high. So despite those casualties, we're still going to go ahead and do Soviet production. We're going to build up those 9 Soviet infantry. That's going to cost 36 production points. So 65 minus 36 puts us at 29 production points left. And with those remaining 29, I think I'm going to go ahead and focus on HQs. Build up Stavka, build up the Western HQ, and probably build up, ideally, the Baltic HQ, but I don't think I'm even going to build that up. Um, Probably maybe build up the Southern HQ over here. I can actually only build up 2 rather, and then with the remaining 9, I'll go ahead and build up a mech unit or an infantry unit. Excuse me, a cavalry unit. Um, you know what? I think what we'll do is go ahead and build up another mech unit because it has double fire. Put it in Krivorog, and then build up this cavalry unit, which costs 3. And that's it for the Soviets. There's nothing else that we can really build up. Now we also get the Soviet strategic reserve, reinforcements, and I want to make sure that I definitely take full advantage of these. We're going to put 1 in Bryansk, I think 1 in Kaluga, put an infantry unit in Orel, basically start building up a second defensive line, and then I have this mech unit. I don't know where to put this unit. Maybe we put that here. And then the mech unit, we can put it in Kursk, like so. Basically start stacking up our infantry. Put the stronger infantry near Moscow. And go ahead and put this unit in Bryansk. Kharkov, a couple units in Kharkov. Poltava, Kremenchug, and this is a complicated name, Dnepropetrovsk, like so. I'll probably put another one in Zaporozhye. And I think I'm actually going to cancel 1 build. Cancel 1 infantry build. And then go ahead and build up this mech unit by, which is going to cost, or armored unit rather, which is going to cost 4 production points. And just like that, we've deployed the Soviet Strategic Reserve, basically filled up all the units along the front line. Most of them are at level 1. They're a cadre. And what else? We don't really have much else as far as strategic reserves is concerned. I wish we had more Soviet reinforcements, but we don't. We've already deployed everything we have. And so my game plan for the Soviets is to establish a defense around Moscow as quickly as possible, while at the same time just keep pulling back and try to preserve as many units as we possibly can. In fact, these infantry units should probably be mech units, I'm beginning to think. So I'm actually going to cancel these 3, and I'm going to instead build up 2 cavalry units instead, because they cost 6 apiece. So that's a total of 12 production points, and I just want to make sure that we have a mobile reserve. I mean, these units can mobilize if the Germans pursue. That's kind of the game plan. Okay, and I think with that, the game plan is just to keep retreating, keep on retreating. This HQ should probably be built up, given how we still have a cluster of Soviet units around. Probably should build that unit up, come to think of it. The problem is that I had 9 production points instead of 10. And so I would have to cancel the build of 1 infantry unit and cancel the production of 1 mech unit. Or 1 cavalry unit, rather. Yeah, and I guess I'll go ahead and put this guy there. And that will allow me to have, did I do the math right there? Yeah, no, I canceled those 2, that's 10. Put 1 infantry unit there, and then this last 10 will go here. And that way we have some kind of defensive line, some kind of stable defensive line going on. And I don't have to use Stavka to pull these units back, but I want to pull these units back as quickly as possible. So yeah, that's it for the Soviet production. This unit is out of supplies. And we concluded British production. We'll now do the Axis production. Now the Eastern Front is officially activated. And so we'll transfer over the maximum amount of production points we can to the Eastern Front. There's 14 by default. 14 by default, which include areas like, here's this line here. This kind of diagonal line separates the Eastern Front from the Western Front. And you can see that on the Eastern Front, we have production sites like Warsaw, Danzig, Königsberg, Ploiești, Bucharest, and if you add all those up, it adds up to 14 production points. So that's what we did. And we can actually do an initial transfer of 40 production points from the Western Front. So that's what we can do. And we can only do an initial transfer of 40 to the Western Front. And after that, we have to wait a full year before we do an additional transfer to the Western Front. Something else to point out is that France has been exploited. And so a revolt can occur. And that basically occurred in June of 1941. Just wanted to point that out real quick. That affects the strategy in the Western Front. But basically, we have 54 or actually 57 production points because we took Kyiv. And then we have now only 22 production points on the Western Front and then another 20 on the Mediterranean Front. So the Western Front production goes down substantially. 22 production on the Western Front. I think what I want to do is basically build up these fortress units as quickly as possible. I don't want to wait another turn. But I think I might go ahead and wait another turn anyways, because I want to be as economically efficient as I can with my production. And so the Western Front will be 22 production points for the Axis. I forgot to deploy these German reinforcements over here. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I lost the previous log file, so I had to reset everything up again. We could have gone ahead and actually have activated OKW and deploy some of these units. That would have been pretty smart. But I guess that's not going to happen. I'll put that unit in Amsterdam. This unit will go there. Yeah, and I guess this unit will go here. So yeah, OKW is going to be a bit overstretched because we are going to do a diplomatic event for the Axis, which is basically FL, which is Finland declares a limited war against the Allies, including the Soviets. And so we have to roll. First of all, finish armistice, in effect for one complete season. And so we get to roll, we got to roll 1 to 5. And we roll a 3. So the Finnish do join. And so basically all you have to do is look at the Finnish setup, count 2 production points since the war ended. And I think the Winter War ended in our game. I think it ended in, was it December or January? I think it ended in January of 1940. So if we count the months, starting with February, that's 11 months in 40, plus another 7 months, including July. So it's a total of 18 months. You multiply that by 2, and there's 36 production points for the Finnish that we could spend. I'll go ahead and spend 15 on the Mannerheim. That's going to leave us with 21 production points left over. Go ahead and build up this unit. That's going to be 18. That's going to leave us with 18 because that costs 3. And now, we can basically build up think I'll go ahead, build 4, 8. Not a whole lot. We suffered some pretty significant casualties in the Winter War, it looks like. But I'll go ahead and build 12. And then with the last remaining 6, I'm going to go ahead and build up a new finish unit from scratch, and go ahead and rebuild up the 6th finish core. And so now the Finnish have joined the Axis. Let's see, Finnish Limited War. We'll put this in the markers over here. This is going to be, what is it, July of 41. And now we're going to go ahead and deploy the Finnish units once again. Put this unit in Mannerheim, this unit there, this unit here, this unit over here, unit here. We can double stack with the Finnish. I'm pretty sure there's no rule that doesn't really specify or clarify that, but presumably we can double stack our units as the Finnish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Pretty much just double stack all the units across the front there. And just like that, the Finnish are now in the war against the Soviets. But the Finnish production is separate from the German production. So there's that. What else? Now we can do German production on the Eastern Front. We have 57 production points. Pretty much all our production is going to be spent on HQs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 50 out of our 57 production points are spent on HQs, leaving us with only 6. And go ahead and, or 7 rather, we'll go ahead and build up this mech unit by 1. We have 1 more production point left over. We're not going to spend it. And that's going to conclude our Eastern Front production. Mediterranean Front production is 4 dice rolls. And we get, looks like 16 production points altogether. And with 16, I'll go ahead and build up the Africa Corps. No, actually, scratch that. We'll go ahead and build up, I think we'll just save the production. No, we'll just focus on HQs. Yeah. So that was 15 production points that were spent, and we'll go ahead and pass on that. And now we can start the next fortnight. My goodness, a whole month went by, and the front line has changed significantly, right? So much territory has been taken by the Axis in just 1 month of operations. Well, we're going to continue. We're going to do, my goal was to do 2 months of operations, but I might just do 1. Maybe for the sake of the video length, I'm not sure if I should do 1 or 2. My goal was to do 3, basically split Operation Barbarossa into 2 months, or into two phases. But maybe we split it into I don't know how many phases. But we'll go ahead and do the Axis turn. I don't think this turn is going to be as eventful because most of our move is spent just taking Soviet territory. And you know, the Soviets have established a defensive line very far east, and so we still have a while to go before our before we actually make contact with the new Soviet line. That's basically the problem. We're not going to blitz because I think we want to preserve our HQs as best as possible. We're going to save those blitzes for areas of particular combat. Right now, the goal is just to get our troops on the move, have them march as far east as we can. Just move our momentum as far east as we can. You can see that a lot of Axis units are very far behind. You know, we're not even in range, but we are in range of Smolensk. So I am going to go ahead and attack Smolensk. We'll take Veliki Luki. Um, really no areas, no battles with combat support. And then I don't even think I'm going to activate Army Group South because I want to save it so that it's built up at full strength. So I think I want to wait on that. Go ahead and just like take our time basically for advancing as far east as we can, as efficiently as we can. And then Army Group North will deactivate and mobilize. But yeah, already the front has changed significantly because we don't have as much concentration of force anymore. So yeah, I think this turn is going to be, these next few turns should be a little bit easier to do compared to what we were doing earlier. So we've clearly entered the next phase of Operation Barbarossa. Only one battle, Battle Smolensk. Soviets score one hit against the German Panzer. So yeah, those casualties that the Soviets sustained, that was kind of the first phase, phase one of Operation Barbarossa. Now we'll switch over to phase two, basically in the next month. That was the first month, that was June, and now we're in the second phase, which basically starts in July. And we'll start calculating Axis and Soviet casualties. The Axis already sustained one casualty. Germans will roll, scoring one hit with the double defense. Soviets sustain one loss there. And that's it. That's going to be it for the Axis. Not much else we have to do. The units that are out of supplies will now be removed. All right, and that's going to be another 5, a total of 5 for the Soviets. Another 100,000 troops basically encircled. And that's that. We're also, I probably should have done this sooner, activate the Mannerheim HQ and get this unit to march and cut off Leningrad. I forgot to do that. Another thing we're going to do, and I forgot to do it as well, is activate OKW, and we're going to actually move this Army Group Dietl, this Army Group North, basically, or like Army Group Finland, basically, to German Corps, as well as Theater HQ, and we're gonna move this one by sea. We're gonna double march this guy, and then we're going to move this guy by rail. So in total, that's 4 strategic moves that we just spent, leaving us with 2 more to spend in the Western Front. And I think what I'll go ahead and do is move this mech unit move it by rail right there, like so. And then, yeah, that's it for OKW. Then we can move it by rail and move it to, I guess I'll leave it in Poznan, so that we can maybe use it on the Eastern Front as bonus strategic moves. There we go. So that's it for the Axis. Switch over to the British. I don't think the British are going to do much because they don't really they have this full strength HQ, but we don't have any supreme moves to do. So the British will pass. Then we'll switch over to the Soviets. As much as I want to do moves with the Soviets, I think the Soviets are also going to pass as well. And we want to save our HQs as much as possible. I probably should activate this Western HQ and try to maybe reinforce basically reinforce not Smolensk. Smolensk is inevitably going to fall, but establish a strong defense around Moscow. That's kind of the idea. Yeah, I think that's as good as it's going to get. And then go ahead and activate this HQ, and we're going to move our mech units. Basically get our units to fall back. Maybe we should move this cavalry unit that way. Yeah, and oh, you know what? Probably should leave a unit in Zaporozhye. And we're abandoning Kryvyi Rog too, which is kind of a damn shame. I'll go ahead and put this unit there, like so, just so that we can hold on to the production, but frankly, I don't even think it's worth it. But anything we can do to deny the Axis production is probably in our strategic favor. So yeah, that's it for the Soviets. Oh, we'll go ahead and activate the Leningrad HQ, and we're gonna pull back some of our units over here. I mean, Leningrad is effectively going to be cut off. Actually, let's see. This guy can go here. Mech unit goes there. Army unit will go here. And yeah, just like that. You know, our situation in Leningrad is very vulnerable. Very, very, very vulnerable. But it's the best that we can do right now. Ideally, though, we can do another strategic move and move reinforcements, but I'd rather wait until Stavka is at full strength before I do any strategic moves. But it's a bit of a gamble. I mean, we could use more reinforcements around Volkov and, you know, these areas, because if the Germans break through at Novgorod, you know, this whole sector is going to be screwed. But I think we're going to have to wait, basically. That's that. We'll move on to the next fortnight. Switch over to the Axis. And, you know, all the German HQs are under strength, and so I'm going to go ahead and hold off on anything, except for OKH, right? And I'll go ahead and do a few strategic moves. For example, I will go ahead and move up an infantry unit, put that into Smolensk. That was one strategic move. Another one will be here, 2. Another one will be moving up to Luga, that's 3. We'll move up these 2 infantry units forward. Or at least one of them. We'll move up another one. I guess I'll put it in Velikie Luki. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll go ahead and I think put an armored unit in Luga as well. And the idea is that we're kind of getting our forces in position. We probably should attack, quite frankly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so much for moving up these German reinforcements. Yeah, so much for that. That's kind of unfortunate. I think we're gonna have to wait next turn for that. Go ahead and deactivate OKW, and I'm gonna move it by rail. We gotta figure out where we were gonna do our combat support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we'll put it there. That's a bit excessive. No, we'll go ahead and just put it in Minsk, like so. Yeah. All right, there's that. We probably could attack Odessa if we wanted to. That's not a bad idea. Send an infantry unit forward onto Odessa rather than reinforcing Smolensk. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only got one more left. 6, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do 7. Put some pressure on Odessa, so we got to cancel one of our strategic moves. Go ahead and cancel this one. So 1, 2, 3. Right? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like so. I'm thinking, yeah, that's pretty good. We got to be careful with the Soviet counterattack at Smolensk. It's very possible. Soviets could always counterattack. They don't really have the HQ for it, but they do have the firepower. So actually, I think the wiser move would be to cancel this move and then go ahead and move up this infantry unit forward, like so. Just make sure we got a nice strong defense at Smolensk. All right. Go ahead and do the Battle of Odessa. Soviets score a hit. That's going to be 2 for the Axis. We didn't calculate how many casualties the Axis sustained. But what was it? 21 times 22. Still a lot. 462,000 casualties. About 500,000. And historically, they sustained about 1,000,000 casualties in Operation Barbarossa. So about halfway there. No hits on Odessa. Odessa is now going to technically be out of supplies or under siege supplies. And so the Soviets are going to lose production there. They are going to lose production there. And then we'll do another round at Smolensk. Unsupported combat. And we score, looks like 3 hits. So that's 1 hit on the Soviets. All right, and just like that, we're just slowly grinding away at Smolensk. Nothing super eventful. But the idea right now is that we get our forces in position for breakthroughs later on. Yeah. All right, so that's going to be it for the Axis. Go ahead and switch over to the Soviets. I think the Soviets are going to pass this turn because we don't really have any full-strength HQs either. So we'll go ahead and pass. The British are going to pass as well. And so now we'll go ahead and start the next turn, and this will be the last turn we do for Operation Barbarossa, as we're kind of in a transitionary phase. The British production now is going to be at 24 production points because we're now in August. We're going to go ahead and build up this HQ marker and build it up to a status of ready. Cost 20 production points in total. And then we have 4 production points left over. Go ahead and build up this infantry at full strength. Mediterranean front production is 4 dice rolls. That's going to be a total of 10, looks like. 7, yep, that's 10. What to build, right? We don't have much. We'll go ahead and build up this mech unit. Still need to build up this HQ, or build up this HQ. So it's still going to take a while. But you can tell that the British development on the Mediterranean strategy has been really, really slow. And that's because I've prioritized a strategy against the French coastline. But obviously, you could play more aggressively with the British, I'm sure. Go ahead and do Soviet production. And Soviet production now is going to be at 64 production points. Go ahead and focus on HQ builds. 1, 2. Probably just focus on 2 HQ builds for now. And then focus on Soviet reinforcements. So that was 20 production points. Now we're at 34 in total. We're going to build up these 2 units. Now that's going to put us at 28. Build up this mech unit. That's going to put us at 25. Probably build up this cavalry units. That's going to put us at 22. Probably build up this one as well. That puts us at 19. I just got to figure out one more cavalry unit to build. I don't really have an extra cavalry unit to build. I guess build up this guy here. Didn't we have another cavalry unit? No. Oh yeah, build up this guy. There we go. So now we're at 16, and the remaining 16 pretty much going to be spent on infantry. So I will spend 8 building up 2 more infantry units. Figure out where to put them. We'll put them here around Moscow. and then the remaining 8 will be spent primarily on units around Moscow. And the idea is just try to stabilize the front as best as possible. As you can tell, most of the Soviet units are still under strength. So there's that. We'll now do the Axis production and start with the Mediterranean front production. That's 8 plus 5 is 13. Go ahead and build up this armored unit, which costs 12. And then Western front production is going to be at 44 because we saved 22 on the last turn. We're going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, and then probably, let's see, 50, I think. Or the last 4 will go there. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then the Eastern Front production is at 57 still. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then build that guy up. We have 3 left. I think I just might kind of skip on that remaining 3. As much as I want to build up more units, I want to just make sure that we have as many full strength units as possible advancing against the Soviets wherever we can. So there's that. Now we'll go ahead and do the Axis turn. We've done all 3 front production. Start with Army Group South. And again, the game plan here is just to keep our units marching. I think we're going to attack Kremenchug. But you can tell that most of our units are pretty slow. A lot of our infantry units are very, very slow. And let's see. And then we'll send a Panzer Corps over to Odessa and just try to take Odessa. But we are making headway. Then we'll go ahead and activate Army Group North. And I'm going to go ahead and blitz with Army Group North. And we're going to go all out on Novgorod. Go ahead and probably put this infantry unit over here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 6 infantry overall as we push on Leningrad. I probably can move up 1 more. But the problem now is that I need a few more units to kind of fill in the gaps over here. So let's see. And now I could try to activate OKW, or OKH rather, and try to get a few more units to move up. But I kind of want to hold off on any additional pushes. I could activate OKW and maybe have some combat support. It's not a bad idea. I keep saying OKW. I mean to say OKH. Try to do some more strategic moves. Basically, we'll go ahead and do this move here. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 1. Then we'll go ahead and do 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's one. Yeah, so no, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then this infantry unit right here is 6. Yeah. The idea is that we're just putting strategic pressure on the central front as much as we're putting pressure on other fronts, and we'll use OKH for that. And then what else? I'm going to go ahead and activate OKW, and it's going to be disrupted because there's a rule that says HQs operating outside of their designated theaters are going to be disrupted. So OKW is not meant to operate on the Eastern Front, so it is disrupted. So we have 4 supreme moves, and we're going to operate on the Northern Front and move this unit over. And we're going to go for Murmansk. So it's double march. So it would have been 2 supreme moves, but because it's in another theater, or the Northern Front, it's 4 supreme moves. And then go ahead and activate Detail and move this unit. So now we're making an attack on Murmansk as much as we're attacking other sectors of the front. And that's it. That's how we're able to put strategic pressure on the Soviets everywhere. And then we're not going to do anything on the Western Front. It's a bit vulnerable, but we do have these strong fortress units, so that's pretty good. But the British are, in theory, able to launch an amphibious operation on the Western Front. So we got to be cautious of that. We're going to put an airstrike marker here. See if we can break through. And actually, we'll put the airstrike marker on. No, I think. It's kind of a gamble, right? Because we want to break through Kremenchug, but we also want to take Odessa as quickly as possible. And I sent the Panzer Corps there, so I think I'm going to commit fully to Odessa. Just guarantee that we break through. It's probably a bit of an overkill, frankly, but I'd rather take Odessa rather than wait any longer. And then we'll put an airstrike marker by OKH on Smolensk, even though it's unsupported combat. And then the big battle, the most important battle right now, is the Battle of Novgorod. The idea being that if we can break through Novgorod, we can cut off Leningrad, and that's going to deeply affect Soviet production. So let's start the turn. We'll start with the battle here at Murmansk. Air support is double fire, so we score 1 hit. Defenders also score a hit. Ouch. And we did score 4 hits altogether, so we pretty much are at the point of breaking through there. Really nice. So Soviet casualties go up to 8. Axis casualties are at 4. Something else that I could look up is how large, how many soldiers did Germany send into Finland in 1941 as part of Dietl's army group. Let's see. But presumably, the number of troops is still about the same. Presumably, it's 22,000 times 9. So it's actually smaller than that. 22,000 times 9 is about 180,000, 200,000 troops, according to my calculations. But according to the historical amount, the Axis sent about half of that. So our casualties are less. They're actually half. So we'll just do 3.5. And the Soviets presumably are about the same. How many soldiers did the Soviet 14th Army have in 1941 when defending Murmansk? Let's see. About 100,000 troops. So yeah, 25,000 times 4. I calculated that to be about 100,000 troops. Yeah. So Soviet casualties, they just suffered 50,000 casualties, much more successful than the historical battle. We'll do now the Battle of what's it called? Novgorod. Air support, no hits. Defenders score 3 hits. Ouch. 3 hits against the Axis. The Axis roll, and they scored 1 hit. Okay, so that was pretty bad. The Axis definitely suffered some pretty heavy casualties, presumably against Soviet counteroffensives at Novgorod. We'll do the Battle of Smolensk. Air support scoring 1 hit. We're about to take it. Yep, and we did. Soviets are defeated. So let's see, the Soviets lose another 3. Can deactivate OKW. We'll also do the Battle of Bryansk. Soviets score a hit. The Axis score no hits. Okay. And then we got a river assault right here at Kremenchug. Let's see. Soviets have 2 defending and scoring no hits. Germans roll with their Panzer Corps, and they totally break through. Like that. Excellent. We could have blitzed, but I decided to hold off on that because our units are a bit out of position. The Soviet casualties are still 2-1. Now we'll do the Battle of Odessa with air support, scoring 1/2 hits. Soviets roll, missing. Panzer Corps rolls, scoring the last hit that we needed. And just like that, we've taken Odessa. Excellent. Soviet casualties are mounting. The Axis are going to gain production. And just like that, that's that. And we'll also do another turn. And no, we'll go ahead and leave it at that. The only thing left to do is deactivate this HQ, and I'll go ahead and leave it back in Poznan. All right, now we do the blitz phase for Army Group North. And what we're going to do is I'm going to, I think we're going to pull an infantry unit out, put an infantry unit in, and then put another Panzer Corps unit in as well. And in this way, we are able to actually, this unit, I'll move it back over here, move this infantry unit forward like so. In this way, we're able to fully stack as many troops as we can on Novgorod, and we still have a chance at breaking through there. We're going to also do another battle over here. Unsupported, no supported. Soviets scored 2 hits, ouch. No hits for the Axis. Okay, and then now the Battle of Novgorod, scoring 1/2 hits. Soviets scored 2 more hits, my goodness. That's going to be on the infantry. 9 dice for the Panzer Corps, come on. We scored 1 hit, 2 hits. Okay, we scored 1 more hit. We did not successfully break through. Dang nabbit. We did not successfully break through. So the Soviets definitely did a great job at holding on to Novgorod. German losses were substantial. I think it was 11 now, right? Or maybe I already included it. I don't know. I do not remember. I guess we'll just take 10 as an average because I'm not sure. But, you know, more or less, that's going to be it for the Axis turn. Interesting turn. We failed to break through in Novgorod, so that's going to be a pretty good win for the Soviets. We'll go ahead and switch over to the British. The British can do an amphibious operation. Now is probably the best time to strike. Question is where are we going to strike? Where should we land? Right now, the obvious target is to go somewhere against one of these three areas. I think we are going to attack with the British. We are going to be aggressive with the British. We're going to do actually, we're going to wait until the next turn to do it, actually. Yeah, we'll wait until next turn. Switch over to the Soviets. And now the Soviets are going to do some strategic moves. Go ahead and activate Stavka. And the main game plan right now is, first of all, we got to reinforce Murmansk. So this unit's going to move by rail into Murmansk. That's one strategic move. This guy will move over here to Soroka. That's two. I think we'll move this infantry unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like that. So that's 1, 2, 3 strategic moves so far. 4. Yeah, I'll keep the markers on, but you know, you guys are probably at this point kind of getting the idea of these markers, what they represent. But we did 1, 2, let's see, 3, 4 strategic moves. Okay. What else? We definitely want to resolve the situation around Smolensk because the Axis could possibly break through, right, and make their way towards Moscow. So I think we should strategically retreat, possibly, rather than historically they held the line at Rezev and Vyazma, but I think there's a more favorable defensive line further east than that. The only problem is that you know, our front line is going to definitely get a lot thicker. It's going to get a lot larger as a result of this withdrawal. But given how many casualties we sustained, I think it's the right call. So we're going to just like pull back our units and just keep withdrawing with the Soviets and basically buy time with space. That's the idea. We don't really have a very strong, you know, defensive line. And obviously the southern sector is still very, very vulnerable. We probably should hold on to Orel, I'm thinking, because of the favorable terrain, but I'm going to go ahead and abandon Bryansk. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Maybe we should hold on to Bryansk. I mean, the Germans are going to be able to chase a rail supply from Smolensk. So the way I'm thinking of it is that we're pulling back because we don't want our troops to be encircled. But, you know, holding on to Bryansk definitely will buy us some time. Kind of a tricky situation. As far as strategic moves go, we'll go ahead and pull back, fall to Valdai Hills. That's another strategic move. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then one more. And one more to do. I think we'll just go here. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is the right move or not for the Soviets. Falling back to defensive lines is kind of a gamble because, you know, the Germans obviously gained a lot of territory, but, you know, I think it's the right call. The problem is that we don't really have anywhere else to fall back to after this, and we definitely need like more reinforcements around Moscow. So I don't know, but I'd rather fight and die at like Mozhaisk and have the strong defensive line at Moscow than lose all our forces like they did historically right outside of Moscow during Operation Typhoon, which I can go ahead and show. Operation Typhoon. But basically, I mean, a vast amount of Soviet units got encircled right outside of Moscow. This map kind of shows it, but over here, you can see that's near Vyazma. a little bit east of Smolensk on another circlement of Bryansk, and the Soviets suffered something like somewhere between 500,000 to 1,000,000 casualties. Now, a lot of troops did escape, but you get the idea. The only problem is that we don't really have much of a reserve, and that's my only concern right now is that we lack a strategic reserve. And there, we're not going to get. Historically, the Soviets got reinforcements around Moscow in November of 1941. We still have a while before we get there, so it's a bit of a gamble for sure. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're making the right call or not. But the way I figure is that it's better to have some effective defensive line than no defensive line whatsoever. We're not going to do any turn over here in the south, any strategic moves in the south. Yeah, although we probably should pull back a few more units. Maybe I'll cancel this move and then pull back one more unit. Maybe move this unit to right here. Yeah. Still a very untenable situation for the Soviets for sure. And then we'll go ahead and demobilize our HQ and move it that way. No additional moves for the Soviets. Yeah, no additional moves. Now we could, I'm thinking actually it may be a bit wiser to reinforce Novgorod. I mean, might as well, since we did such a good job of holding out. Maybe I cancel this strategic move and put this guy in here instead. In which case I would have to cancel that strategic move. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was the problem, is trying to reinforce Murmansk. No, I think we're just going to leave it as it is, and unfortunately just hold out as long as we can, accept the fact that Leningrad is basically going to be cut off. There's that. All right, now the British are not going to do anything. We decided not to. We're now going to go ahead and do the next turn. The Soviets lose a production, the Axis gain a production, switching over sides with Bryansk. And now, I think the game plan right now is we're going to do another attack on Novgorod. That's the idea. Another attack on Novgorod, and then we can now move up all these other German units. Now, most of our German units are pretty under strength, but I think we can move up at least a German army. Maybe move up a Panzer Corps. Yeah, definitely a bit. The German advance is also pretty limited too, frankly. Hopefully you don't hear the dog bark in the background. Hopefully it's not too bad. I could also put on my headphones and change the audio quality. The only problem is that I do not know where the headphones are at the moment. I would have to go look for them. But we're gonna wrap up this file pretty shortly. But we're gonna go ahead and do another battle. I'm thinking maybe send this infantry unit here, attack right there. That will simplify our front line a little bit. And then that's about it. I think that's about it, frankly, for the German turn. Definitely a bit of a gamble here as far as moving up our units towards Moscow. We're also going to activate Army Group A, of course, and we're going to make a push. Basically keep trying to get our units to move further east. We're not in range of supporting an attack on Kharkov, but we can send this 2 Panzer Corps over and try to encircle Dnipropetrovsk. And I think that's a good call. But as you can see, our front line is spread out pretty thin. One, two, three. I think we might even blitz. I'm thinking maybe I should blitz. I want to pin down Dnipropetrovsk because unfortunately our flank is a bit vulnerable. Problem is that I don't really have units in range, so no, we're not gonna go after Crimea. I thought it was the original plan, but no, don't really have the manpower for that. This unit can move like so. Yeah, that's pretty good. And yeah, just getting our troops just to march. But we're now in range of attacking Kharkov, which is really nice. Yeah, do I want to do any combat support? Maybe do a combat support on Krivoy Rog. See if we can take that. Yeah. All right. There's that. I'm definitely like near my limits as far as playing the game. Like I'm definitely gonna have to take a break after this one. This was definitely one of the longer playthroughs, but that's the nature of wargaming. It's a humble reminder that like these games take a while. But we'll start with the Battle of Novgorod. We're also I'm gonna go ahead and pass on another attack on whatchamacallit, Murmansk. I'd rather wait until this HQ is at full strength before I attack. Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead and attack Novgorod, scoring 1 hit, 1/2 hit rather, and just like that we clear it. Excellent. Soviet casualties are now increasing. What else? We'll do Battle of Kharkov. Soviets score a hit. Then do this battle here. I probably should have changed up the order of units, but I did not. Germans score a hit, very nice. And then now the Battle of Losovaya. Mech units. Oh, the Germans almost scored 4 hits. Alright, Battle of Dnipropetrovsk. It is combat supported, but it needed double hits. Krivoy Rog, let's see, with airstrikes, no hits. German infantry, yeah, no hits there. Okay. And that's that for the Axis. Alright, so we are making progress into Ukraine. It's kind of slowed down, a little bit slower than I expected. But we have made good headway. Oh, we got one more battle here. No hits on either side. Okay. And that's going to be it for the Axis. We'll switch over to the British now. I think what we'll do is actually do the Soviets first. See what the Soviets want to do. Don't think there's anything I really want to do with the Soviets. Actually, no, there is. I think I just want to retreat in the south. I just want to retreat my units in the south. And accept the fact that, you know, the Germans have basically... now, the problem, of course, is that I'm sacrificing, you know... I'm losing production. I'm giving the Axis some kind of initiative. You know what? I think we're just going to hold the line. But the reality of our situation is that we probably should retreat our units. But I'm going to go ahead and just not do that and just focus on production instead. Because it also is kind of costly to spend our production, our HQs. So I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that, which also means that Leningrad will be cut off on the next turn. But it's, it's not too bad. Could be worse. Yeah, we'll go ahead and pass on the Soviets. Now switch over to the British. Now the British, I think we should put some strategic pressure on the Axis, and we're going to go ahead and do an amphibious invasion. And we're going to go ahead and blitz. And the idea is that we can do a hit and run sort of invasion and just put some strategic pressure on the Axis. We probably should go after somewhere in France, because that would be the wiser move. In fact, maybe land in an open area, not even attack a German unit, land in an open area, and just cut them off, pretty much. And see what political events come as a result of that. See if we can get Vichy France in the war. There's a diplomatic event for that, and we can read it. Vichy France joined the Allies. Basically, you count Allied hexes in occupied France. Ports count as double, and if it's less than a count, the Vichy joins the Allies. So I'm thinking we land in Caen. Orleans will be under our control. So Caen and Orleans will be 2 areas, and we roll a dice, and if we roll a 1, Vichy France joins the Axis. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we'll blitz on Caen. Send the amphibious unit forward, and then do the blitz phase. And then go ahead and send this cavalry unit forward, or a cavalry, I'm going to say mech unit, like so. And we'll go ahead and deploy this beachhead marker. And the idea is that we can get maximize our defense. Now this amphibious unit has double fire as well. So 8 double fire dice in France, not bad. And we'll end the turn on that note. And now, for British production, we have 12 production points. And we're going to go ahead and spend that on this HQ unit. Just so that if we need to retreat, we can do a blitz withdrawal. So I want that unit built up. We'll do the Mediterranean front production. That's 11 plus 3 is 14. Build up this mech unit, 9. Build up this other HQ, that's 5, for a total of 14. And now we'll switch over to the Soviets. We'll do the diplomatic event. Let's see. We roll a 3, dang it. So Vichy France is still Axis controlled. We'll now do Soviet production. Their production is at, I think, 54. According to this, is 53. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because we retreated from Bryansk. Okay, go ahead and build up this Stalino unit. We're left with 50. Build up the HQs. That's 20 in total. And I think with the remaining 30 that we have, we're going to just build up our casualties, right? Try to just keep building up as many lost units as we can. I want to build up our entire force pool if we can. So that's, that's 20, 30, like so. Just try to keep building up our force pool to the best of our ability. And I probably should put more of these reinforcements around Moscow, frankly. But it's equally important to defend the road to Baku as well. So kind of a hard call to make. But ideally, I put more units around Moscow. I think we're gonna have to do it like this. just stack up our defense around Moscow and accept the fact that we're about to lose this area over here. And I got one more unit here. Nice. Put in a Voshilovgrad like that. Okay. Put one unit in Voronezh. We'll put a cavalry unit there. Yeah. All right. So that's it for the Soviets. Pretty straightforward production. No reinforcements to Murmansk, unfortunately. And now the Axis production, right? This is kind of like the main production. 14 for the Mediterranean front. Build up this HQ. Oh, dang it. I think we'll just maybe build up this armored unit. We get a new reinforcement. Yeah, get a new reinforcement. 22 production on the Western Front. And I think we're going to have to build up some ground units for sure. Build up this HQ. Build up this mech unit. That's going to be 16 production points. We have 6 left. Maybe cancel this mech build. So we have 12. Go 1, 2. Oh man, actually, we'll cancel that HQ. We'll build up OKW instead. Yeah. And so, yeah, the idea is that we attack. We make an attack against the British. Just put some pressure on them. And then Eastern Front production is at 59, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 59, yep. Put up all the HQs. And then with 9 left, go ahead and build up 2 infantry. Build up these guys here. Yeah, actually, go ahead and build up one of them over here. Actually, we'll build up these 2. All right, and I think we're going to stop here. We basically completed the first half of Operation Barbarossa, super long operation. We're not even done yet, right? The war on the Eastern Front has been opened up and the fighting will continue. But the Axis have basically reached Moscow, or very close to reaching Moscow. They're at the verge of taking Leningrad or cutting off Leningrad. They're at the verge of taking the Ukrainian industrial kind of, what's it called? This whole basin, this whole industrial basin, a very strategically rich area. And so basically, we've kind of completed the first phase of the fighting. We've kind of entered the second phase, right? This is basically July through August. And we're kind of approaching the third phase, right? Which is where the Axis are beginning to come upon their original strategic objectives, right? Their original objectives was Ukraine for Army Group South, Moscow for Army Group Center, and Leningrad for Army Group North. And so I think we're effectively approaching the third phase of Operation Barbarossa, where now these industrial targets have been reached. The German army is in strategic range, and now we're actually going to see the battles take place for these vital strategic, whether they're political, economic, industrial, or industrially significant regions of the Soviet Union. So yeah, there's that. I think we completed all the production. So yeah, we'll stop here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Comments and questions down below. Love hearing from you guys. And we'll steadily continue this video series as the war is certainly not over in our war game. So again, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.